The greatest common factor between 3x and 12 is 3. Therefore, we are going to factor out 3. Then the other factor is x plus 4. Between 6 and 16, the greatest common factor is 2. Between x squared and x cubed, greatest common factor is x squared. We are left with 3 minus 2 times 8 is 16 minus 8x. Between 7 and 14, the greatest common factor is 7. Between y fourth and y second, the greatest common factor is y second. We're left with y second plus 2. Between 24 and 16, the greatest common factor is 8. A squared and a to the fifth, the greatest common factor is a squared. B to the fifth and b to the third, the greatest common factor is b to the third. We are left with 3b to the second plus 2 a to the third and times 1, so it's just a to the third. Between 9 and 15, the greatest common factor is 3. M and m squared, the greatest common factor is m. We're left with 3 n to the fourth minus 5 m. M times m is m squared. X is the greatest common factor of x cubed minus 8x squared plus 10x. And we are left with x squared minus 8x plus 10. The greatest common factor between 4, 12, and 18 is 2. And between a cubed, a to the fifth, and a squared is a squared. We are left with 2a. 2a times 2a squared, 4a cubed, minus 6a cubed, minus 9 times 1. Between 20, 15, and 25, the greatest common factor is 5. Between a squared, a cubed, a, the greatest common factor is a. And then b to the fourth, b to the third, b to the fifth, it's b to the third. We left with 4ab plus 3 a to the second times 1, so it's just 3a to the second, minus 5 times 1 times b squared. The greatest common factor will be x plus 2. So we factor out x plus 2. And we are left with x plus 4. Let's rewrite number 10. X minus 3 squared means x minus 3 times x minus 3 plus 5 times x minus 3. Now we can clearly see that the greatest common factor is x minus 3, brackets, and we are left with x squared times x minus 3 plus 5. We may choose to distribute x squared over x minus 3. We'll have x minus 3 times x squared times x cubed minus 3x squared, x squared times negative 3 plus 5. For the next slide, we're gonna factor out the negative coefficient. We may choose in some circumstances to factor out the negative coefficient. For example, 1, if we choose to factor out -6, we'll obtain x minus 2. If we choose to factor out -8, we will obtain y plus 3. -8 times y, -y. -8 times 3, -24. The greatest common factor between those three terms is 3. If we choose to factor out -3, we'll get a cubed minus 3a squared plus 4. If we choose to factor out -16, because 16 is the greatest common factor of those three terms, we'll obtain t squared minus 2t minus 4. Notice -16 times -4, positive 64.